So it is okay for us to get a hit, but only within 1% margin. So the if you see like wherever we went wrong, or what I call it as breaches, um, it was not a lot. Within a 2 hour window of how well we predicted, um, the the number of data points that was within, that went outside what we predicted, was very few, like less than 1%, which is a really good number to go with. So even a simple linear type, it is actually a linear regression, no questions asked. It's just that it uses quantile regression. You're literally only predicting two coefficients, the constant and the slope of the line, right? That's all you're predicting. And you get to see a good amount of, you get to see a very good confident prediction in this. So this is all so the experience that we have, at least in the startup that I had before, was to do like a very simple time series prediction. There's just no features in there apart from the fact that you have time and you have power consumption period. Of course, you can construct a lot of features, which is all that goes into feature engineering, and there's a whole old stream of ideas out there that you could try. But for us, this was still good enough that having a 99th percentile, and gives us a pretty good confidence that okay, you only have less than 1% breaches. That's good enough. So that's pretty much all I have with respect to the work that I've done so far. Unfortunately, I can't really talk very much about what I am currently doing as of now. Um, because hardly I've been here for like about 4 or 5 months now. So that's not a lot to have substantial amount of work done, and I'm still starting on several projects here. Um, so here is the dilemma that always comes up for you, right? Which is the right thing to do? Do you want to go into academy or industry? I'm pretty sure myself and us have had a number of chats where we went about all these things, that hey, what let's look at our strengths, factors, weaknesses. What are the things that we really are looking for? Really, the choice of academia or industry is an independent, it's an individual decision, right? So you determine your priorities, think about what matters the most. Certainly academics has a lot of flexibility, and it comes with freedom as well, that hey, you could do publish LR, you could work on any problem you want, and at any point of time, say you're bored working on that problem, you can just really move on to another problem, right? You have lots of flexibility there. And But if you do get into an R&D industry like what I did before, then you can't publish that frequently, but you could still get to work on problems of research interest for the company. So it's not necessarily your interest comes first, but the company's interest comes first, right? So there you can't really publish that often, but you what you can do is patent your ideas, and that also happens. So it could be slower, but you're still doing quality research there. um, and then also think about other things, like how you want to spend your time. You want more flexibility, you want to teach. Those are the things that I used to love. I'm sure Oz loves that too, and you guys have got a great professor in him. Then collaborating, presenting your work, reporting, there's a lot of things that you could do. Think about what matters the most there. And of course, know your strengths. Can you do work by yourself, or you think you're better off working with a team of people where you're helping each other out? That weighs in a lot if you want to work in an industry. And also factors that matter. And do you prefer working um, uh, think long term, not just short term, but also keep your options open. At least I would say I like the idea of having the options open. So I knew at some point of time, what really mattered for me was to experience how my work really affects the technology going forward. That's what I was wanting to do, and I'm certainly happy at the place where I am. But to get there, it's looking back, you can easily connect the dots, but to get there is not always easy. So you have to work your way up. So the one thing that I told myself when I was moving out of academics was, I know my end goal. I want to get there, but it may take some time. It may take some patience. And I went to an industry where I started off with an R&D industry where I knew I was getting paid less than what I used to make before. But there are certain sacrifices that you do to get to where you are right now, right? Like, and of course, to be true to yourself. That's where you reap the greatest potential. I don't have very many slides apart from this, but this should kind of give you a hint of what you want to do with 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 your degree. And there is another slide as well. I forgot about that. I was trying to. Do you mind moving on to the next one, Oz? So yeah. So what kind of skills really matter in industry? At least in the data science world that I've seen so far, I've been in this for about, I want to say, 4+ years. Not too long, but I feel like the calculus that you learn at university as well as high school, linear algebra that you see, the first course that you learn in university, probability, optimization, these classes come in very handy. And of course, your programming skills matters. Your way of perceiving things and narrating a story out of that matters a lot. So your coding skills as well as visualization, but you really do not have to be an expert coder. That's not what the industry is looking for. You should be able to get the job done. It doesn't necessarily mean expert level of coding, although the interviews may be hard, but I don't think the real world is that hard. What matters most, I feel, is the third bullet and the business acumen. That um, is the level of understanding that you got in terms of the business knowledge as to how you perceive the problem and what kind of what do you do to break the problem down and still be able to explain the results and narrate the story in a way that people who do not have the same background as you get to understand what these results really mean. That matters the most that I've seen. So the problem solving skills and the way you communicate with others, especially with diverse background, comes in really handy. So those are the things that I got, and I'm open to questions now.
All right, thanks for the presentation. That was pretty cool. And I want to ask you if I can steal the last two slides from you.
Oh, sure,
I like
absolutely.
these two slides to share with my students, in
Sure.
fact. This slide
Feel
is
free
pretty
to.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. There's a link over there, so I can also, as long as I
Yeah.
give credit to that link, I think it should be okay. All right. Yeah, so let me just stop sharing this PowerPoint file. So we're back to Zoom. Let's see how it looks like here first before we proceed. All right, so I'm going to pass the ball to Sydney, and she's going to be the one, and Jared as well, asking the question. So we can start with Sydney, and then we can sort of like bounce back and forth. Okay.
Okay, so what are your short or long-term career goals, and is there a particular skill that you're trying to improve?
Say that again.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I missed the first few words.
Sorry. So what are your short or long-term career goals, and is there a particular skill that you're trying to improve?
Oh, for myself, for my own self, is that what the question is intended to?
Yes.
Um, yeah. So the short-term goals are basically ensuring that you're on top of the technology because the technology keeps changing. There is never a stop to that. That's never going to happen. You got to keep pace with that, right? And in the long-term goals, I see myself moving into a more leadership role where I take on projects which are very open-ended, but at the same time, I am able to uh, see the solution through not right away, but in steps, in several steps. That's where I see myself going forward.
So there's sometimes like a fuzzy line between like data analysts and data scientists and statisticians and people that focus on just machine learning or AI. Do you have a good way that you think of what's the difference between those different career paths?
Hmm, Good question. How do I put it? So, in terms of the responsibilities and the day-to-day activities, these four different fields that you said share, they are different. The titles may look similar and misleading. It is very true. They are not very clear in many places. The way I perceive this is you play around with a lot, so everybody gets to play around with a lot of data, right? Like data analysts really look for more like trends and visualizations and kind of try to narrate the story. Machine learning usually just focuses on the algorithm. They don't really care much about, hey, these data points don't really align with the algorithm, but then they might just throw them away, or maybe treat them as outliers. But then um, data analysts kind of treat all of them equally in some way. Statisticians, typically they care mostly about statistics part, the probability and distributions, and they like their role is, I mean, I'm not saying they are not needed, they're still needed, but they are very supplemental in the sense that they can't, so they care mostly about so how do I say it? In order to solve the real business question, you need a combination of all of them. And software engineers are also needed to ensure the algorithms work. So it really, if you're saying, if it's a question up to you whether you want to see yourself fit into any of these four streams, which one would you pick? Is a choice of what are you comfortable with the most. Are you comfortable with writing code? Certainly software engineering is the way to go. Are you comfortable with like analyzing lots and lots of data? Then certainly data analyst is a type way go forward. So machine learning is a kind of a mix of both the algorithm world and data to some extent, where you get a piecemeal of both. So certainly it's another beautiful way. But so far my passion has been somewhat in the middle of, it's an intersection between, if you're drawing like a Venn diagram, and draw three circles, like one that has the math, the one that has the software, and the one that has uh, the business perspective, right? So mine is an intersection, a sweet spot in all the three big circles. So that's a typical role of data scientists, whereas statistics and software engineers are the different pieces in the game. I don't know if that answered your question.
Um, yeah, I think that was a good answer. So let me just take this back a little bit. I think we have someone from math department. Richard, do you have a question or you want to say a word?
Harijat.
How are you? Let me unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So, what? I mean, what motivated you to get into kind of this area of data analytics, data science in the first place? What do you think would be helpful for students that are at the undergraduate level to actually move from where they are as undergraduates and majoring in math, economics, engineering, in that area, to more of to a position in data analytics, data science, etc.
Yeah, so certainly, I think what motivated me is more towards the technology, because uh, I don't know. Looking back, I always used to perceive myself as, I want to see how my work affects the engineering stream of things. And what, like, math is certainly a lot. It's an extremely important skill set that you have to have in you, right? So the way I see, like, is like, given so gi- gi- given where the technology is going now in the future, is you're going to have mobile devices everywhere, and the with all the like 3G, 4G, 5G, things are getting faster, and you're getting more and more into data. So I feel that the AI and ML certainly is still a long way to go, but that's where the technology is heading towards. And you if you're the guy who thinks that I wanna change, and I wanna see how I can help in having the technology grow forward, then that's where you want to be.